Hi y'all, it's Megan. I have not made a YouTube video in a while, but my schedule's been pretty crazy. So what I typically try to do is space out my YouTube videos in between times when I'm having an existential crisis. So I'm back with another YouTube video, and I am here to remind you, in case you didn't realize, 2014 was a decade ago. Yes, the year 2014 has already passed 10 years ago, and we just need to analyze that era because the 2010s was something. And I met you in the sun. 2014, what a time to be alive. Everybody's keeping calm and doing something. If you're on YouTube, you're either watching PewDiePie, pranks, parodies, or smoky eye YouTube tutorials. Also, at least once a day, you say the phrase, "Abraz on fleek." Also, for some reason, the only acceptable way to pose in photos is to just stand straight up and down. Like, that's it. That's the pose. Stand with your legs close together, put your arms at your side, and don't actually pose. Just stand there. Justin Bieber is the most famous person on the planet, and he just went through his rebrand, so he cut his hair short, and every single guy had to get the exact same haircut. This was also right after he released his Journals album, which features his song All That Matters, which is actually the best song he has ever made. So in 2014, I was 17 years old. This was the end of my junior year going into my senior year. And yeah. I think that this was a really good time for people who were in high school or in their early college years because we really got to experience everything to its fullness. And now that we've grown out of all of those cringy phases, we can look back on life and see how far we've come. So let's take a trip down memory lane, shall we? What was 2014 like? Let's talk about the 2014 trends. So whenever you look back in the past in the different trends that we've seen throughout time, each decade is very niche. You can look back and think of a specific style, specific thing that was popular. But in 2014, we really didn't have inspiration. It was just kind of all over the place. It was just our entire personalities came from Pinterest and Tumblr. Everybody was a hipster. You remember when people would take the lenses out of those 3D glasses they give you in the movies and just wear them? What was that supposed to represent? Were you supposed to look nerdy, cool? I don't get anything that we did. Every few years, we as a society rediscover the color pink. In 2023, that's when the Barbie movie came out. So everybody had to have the hot pink, Barbie pink. Back in 2014, we had this light pastel-y pink, and everything that we owned had to be pink. We had to get pink cake pops and pink drinks from Starbucks, pink chunky phone cases. You would collect those pink shopping bags from Victoria's Secret and keep them in your room as decoration for 6 months. You could also download these apps where you can decorate your home screen and make it look glittery and personalize all your icons, but it was actually counterproductive because the icons were just links to the apps you were trying to use. So at the end of the day, you just had a bunch of random tabs open. 2014's fashion was something. If you were a guy, you were either a swag beast or a hipster. There was no in between. Also, I remember everybody making a very big deal about man buns. If you were a girl, it was a little more interesting. It depended on the season. Girls in 2014 owned fall. All you needed was a pair of Ugg boots, an infinity scarf, some kind of brown hat, and a pumpkin spice latte in hand. In the summertime, you would wear jean shorts, a very thin, very loose-fitting tank top, some kind of thick wedge boot monstrosity, and of course, your outfit wouldn't be complete without an unnecessarily long chain owl necklace. Any other time, you would just wear whatever you think Ariana Grande would wear. Another defining element for 2014 fashion for girls and guys was the swag era. Oh my God. If I had to go back in time and explain to a Victorian child what swag is, well, it really can't be explained. Basically, if someone was to describe 80s hip hop fashion from memory, but like great value brand. Just like a lot of snapbacks, a lot of sports t-shirts, a lot of chains, a lot of sneakers. It was just like very urban. I think that's the word. And obviously you can't have your swag without your YOLO. So in 2011, Drake and Lil Wayne released a song called The Motto, where they say, YOLO, you only live once. This was our literal motto. This was our mantra. This was our mindset for like 4 years straight. And I know this for a fact because my hashtags on Instagram on every single post would include swag, YOLO, hashtag swag, hashtag YOLO. At this time, I'm not even joking, I had a YOLO snapback with a matching YOLO t-shirt and YOLO wristband. Also, Instagram had a brown logo. You remember that? Believe it or not, I used Snapchat way more than I used Instagram back in the day. Now it's completely opposite. I don't even use Snapchat anymore. Like Instagram is my only social media. But at the time, like everybody was using Snapchat. Social media was like social media-ing. It was so like, it was becoming more and more popular. Like this was the post MySpace era, post Facebook era, and people were on social media on their phones all the time. Instagram was so different back then. Like back then you could only post pictures on Instagram, and obviously the caption was just a bunch of hashtags that described what was going on in the photo. Celebrities were just as silly and spontaneous as us, and you know, I can really appreciate Instagram from back then. Like we were cringe, but we were free. I feel like we take ourselves way too seriously on social media these days. Like you have to plan an Instagram post, you have to get like the perfect angle, the perfect lighting, the perfect thread. In 2014, you didn't even have to look at the picture before you posted it. Like just take it at any angle, under any lighting, slap one of those toasty generic Instagram filters on it, and call it a day. Now, last but not least, I can't talk about 2014 without talking about the best social media probably ever made, and that is Vine. Yeah! Vine was a short form video social media platform. God rest its soul. Where you could connect with people, post and watch very funny videos in little 6-second clips. Like that was it. You could search videos by hashtag or by popular users, and it was just a bunch of 6-second videos. I don't know what it was about that concept that was so amazing.
Hi.
Okay. Anybody ever tell you you look like Beyonce?
Nah, they usually tell me I look like Shalissa.
Why are you running? Why are you running? Ah! Stop! I could have dropped my croissant.
There is only one thing worse than a rapist. Boom. A child. No.
Vine was so iconic. It's indescribable. It was just an era-defining thing. Like you truly just had to be there. I can't even post all the Vines. Like just going back down memory lane, my mind is flooding with like hundreds and thousands of Vines. Like right now, I used to spend all day scrolling through Vine. Like, and then for whatever reason, like Vine was like deleted. Like it died. They got rid of the app in like 2017 or something. It's just crazy. Like, I cannot believe they got rid of Vine. I think that technically you still can access the website and you can like log into your account and see all the old Vines that you favorited. But yeah, the app isn't active anymore. Like, I don't know. Like, you could have taken Twitter. You could have taken Snapchat or Facebook. Why did you have to take Vine? To this day, we quote Vines. It's a language. Like, it's something that should be studied. I can't even. I can't even. So this next thing I could have included with the movies, but it honestly deserves a category of its own because it basically defined the year 2014. And that is the movie The Fault in Our Stars. It's a teen drama that's based on a book of the same title. Pretty much every teenage girl in North America was absolutely obsessed with this movie. We were quoting movie quotes, You know, we were posting screenshots to Tumblr, like we were obsessed with the characters and making our own short stories on Wattpad. So I initially wasn't interested in watching this movie because obviously at this time I wasn't like other girls. But I just wanted to see what the hype was about. And I was so mad that the end of the movie made me cry. Like, I went into it with such low expectations. And at the time, my teenage brain thought it was such a masterpiece. The storyline, the soundtrack. Also, hello, Shailene Woodley was in her bag this year because this was also the same year that Divergent came out. Like, she was booked and busy. Now, I think that 2014 was like when TV started to get really good. They dropped some iconic binge-worthy TV shows this year. There was How to Get Away with Murder, Power, Jane the Virgin, Blackish, and I used to watch this show, The Rich Kids of Beverly Hills, that came on E! News, and I'm just putting this on this list because it was my guilty pleasure and I loved watching that show. I just need to know that I'm not alone and there's someone out there that watched that show. It was just rich kids who were like Nepo babies and they were just shopping, doing rich kid things and dealing with drama. Anyways, what kind of songs were we listening to? 2014 was the year that Beyonce released Beyonce. Meghan Trainor released All About That Bass, her breakout song. Iggy Azalea also had a super popular song, Fancy, and that song was so good. The music video was iconic. I mean, she really said, first things first, I'm the realest. That was literally the first thing she said in the song, and it was an automatic playback. Like, it was that good. Bobby Shmurda had Hot Boy. Shortly after he released that music video, he went to jail, and the day that he was released from prison is a day that I'll always remember. There was Bang Bang by Jessie J, Nicki Minaj, and Ariana Grande. Taylor Swift had Shake It Off. Taylor Swift's albums are always good, but I feel like this album in the time when she released this song was kind of when she started to be like mainstream, because in the years leading up to this, she was kind of growing in popularity, and today in 2024 you can see that she's one of the most #1 artists on the charts. But I feel like when she released Shake It Off, she knew exactly what she was doing. Nicki Minaj dropped Anaconda, and that music video broke the internet. Chris Brown was telling you that these ain't loyal.
You thought it was over.
And Jason Derulo dropped the song Wiggle, which is probably the worst song he has ever written on his catalog.
Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
And of course, I can't talk about the year 2014 without talking about Pharrell's song Happy. Adults love to dance to it. It was even in kids' movies. It was so catchy. It literally made you feel happy. Basically, if you were alive during the year 2014, you heard that song on repeat for 365 days straight. That song had us in such a chokehold. It's still played in department stores to this day. And 9 times out of 10, most of the times you heard that song was against your will. So basically Pharrell's descendants can eat off of that happy money until the second coming of Christ. What were the movies that were popular in 2014? There was Kingsman, then Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, the second movie in the most recent Planet of the Apes reboot. This movie is one of my favorite movies of all time. If I could, I would watch it every day. I lost track of how many times I watched this movie. Like, it's a cinematic masterpiece. The storyline, the CGI, like everything about this movie, the development from, the previous movie and setting up the next movie, like, it is just so good. I'm gonna watch it today. 2014. 2014. Now, there's a phenomenon in Hollywood called twin movies, where every few years they'll release 1 or 2 movies that are almost identical, whether it be actors who remind you of each other, storylines that are the same, the posters for the movie are very, very similar, like movies that remind you of other movies. A good example of this is the movies Friends with Benefits and No Strings Attached. They came out in the same year, literally the same plot. All the actors remind you of each other. They didn't even try to make the cover art look different. Twin movies. In 2014, the twin movies that came out are Maze Runner, Divergent, and Mockingjay Part 1. It's basically triplet movies. But in this year, all 3 of these movies came out, and they're basically like the same movie in different fonts. Like, It's like the same concept, like some kind of post-apocalyptic world where a bunch of teenagers have to save the day against an anarchist, and like kids have to kill each other. Like, it's just like the same thing. Another movie that came out this year is Edge of Tomorrow, one of those movies where you have to relive the same day over and over until you can do the thing. And in this movie, the fate of the world relies on Tom Cruise doing the thing. I don't know why, but I absolutely love this movie. Like, it's something about like the storyline and like the action with a balance of comedy, and like Emily Blunt and Tom Cruise just have such good chemistry. Like, everything about this movie is absolutely amazing. I've seen it at least 10 times. This year, for some reason, was like a really good year for like biblical movies, because this is when Noah, Exodus, and Son of God came out. Of course, Marvel absolutely dominated the movie scene in the 2010s. So in this year, 2014, that's when Marvel released Captain America: The Winter Soldier. It was a really good filler movie to keep you waiting until the Marvel movie started to get really, really exciting. And probably the most popular movie from 2014 was Interstellar with Matthew McConaughey. They're actually re-releasing this movie this year for the 10-year anniversary in September. So it's going to be back in the movie theaters for like one day. Believe it or not, I watched this movie for the first time this year. Like, I didn't really see what the hype was about before, but that is one of the best like space travel movies ever. And even though it's totally made up, there's something about it that makes it seem so realistic, and the graphics are just unlike anything, and it's completely understandable like why it is so popular. Looking back on 2014, yes, it does make you cringe to look back on your younger self and all of the things that were very popular and the things that we loved way back then. But honestly, I think that 2014 was like the blueprint for 2024. Now hear me out. Before we had TikTok, we had Musical.ly. Yeah, remember that? Skype walked so that Zoom could run. And the blue chevron pattern of yesterday is just the organic, abstract, minimalist pastel background with leaves of today. So you see, I made this video not only so we could reminisce and drown ourselves in nostalgia, but so that we can never forget where we came from. I know that there's tons of viral moments and trending topics from 2014 that I did not cover. There's just way too much stuff to put in one video. Songs, movies, phrases, whatever. If you think of anything that you remember from 2014, put it in the comments. Drop some suggestions that you want to see for videos in the future. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and don't forget to exercise your mind, body, and soul so you could be stronger